From the banks of a drizzly Thames, we'll have reaction to Thames Water's plans to turn the company around and to cut sewage and pollution.
Thames Water says it only has enough money left to last until May next year and will need additional cash to keep going. The UK's biggest water company, serving much of the capital, has faced intense criticism over releasing sewage into rivers and streams and on the cost of leaks. It's released its latest financial report, and Theo Leggett has the details.
Raw sewage overflowing into rivers and streams, mounting leaks from piping and crumbling and failing infrastructure. These are the obvious signs of trouble at Thames Water, a company which serves 16 million people in London and the Thames Valley. But beneath the surface, it's also suffering financially, and today's figures are far from reassuring. The company did make a profit before tax over the past year of just over £157 million. But that was dwarfed by a major increase in debt, from just under £14 billion a year ago to £15.2 billion. And although it does have £1.8 billion worth of ready funding, Thames says that's only enough to keep it going until May next year. Speculation's been mounting that if Thames can't find new investment, it might have to be taken over by the government, something ministers say they want to avoid.
Why on earth should bill payers pay twice? They've already paid for 14 years through their bills for a water service that in many parts of the country they just haven't been getting. The idea on top of that, we then take taxpayers' money to bail it out, frankly, is for the birds, it's not going to happen.
For these hardy swimmers, taking to the Thames itself in Teddington today, the most pressing issue was muck in the water rather than Thames Water's finances. The company admitted last year the number of sewage discharges more than doubled due to prolonged heavy rainfall.
I'd like them to think more positively about water management and not think it's okay just to be fined and dump sewage in the water every time there's a strong rainfall.
I'm just really worried about sewage going into the water, the fact that it's actually legal for them to discharge sewage into the water when it's been raining. And the Environment Agency and Ofwat seem to have very little say over the matter.
Later this week, the regulator Ofwat will give its verdict on 5-year business plans provided by water companies across the country. Thames Water wants to hike consumer bills by up to 44%, in part to pay for work like this, replacing 100-year-old pipes with new ones. Ultimately, people need water, and sewage has to be dealt with. And whether it's Thames Water's customers or taxpayers, someone will have to foot the bill. Theo Leggett, BBC News.
Well, our environment correspondent Tom Edwards is in southwest London with the latest on this. Tom, what does this report mean for our waterways and for Thames Water customers?
Yeah, hi Luxmi. We're down here in the drizzle at Teddington Water Sports Centre. It's not stopping the kayakers behind me though. And as you heard there, what Thames Water is saying is they now have enough funding to last until next May. But if you drill down into the report, you'll see what state the company is in. They admit that their infrastructure is poor and in a declining condition. And just have a look at this. This is what happened over the last year when it comes to pollution. The number of pollution incidents has increased from 331 in 2022 to 350 in 2023, and storm overflows have nearly doubled from just over 8,000 to nearly 17,000. That's because sewers can't cope with the amount of rain that we've been having, a bit like we're having at the moment. So what does Thames Water intend to do with it? Well, it intends to put your bills up by 44%. So the average bill would go up by £435 a year to £627 by 2030. That means, according to Thames Water, they would be able to invest £19.8 billion in infrastructure, and it says lead to a 30% reduction in pollution incidents. Also, crucially, it would attract more private investment for, of course, a dividend. Now, let's speak to a local clean water campaigner and a former Olympic rower, Ian McNuff. So, Ian, what is the feeling here in this area of the impacts that Thames Water has been making to the Thames?
The main impact has been based on their proposed scheme called the Teddington Direct River Abstraction Scheme, which is one of in their business plan. and they are claiming that this is essential. It has come out as top of the pile of the 2,000 schemes they evaluated. Locally, there is utter disbelief that that can be the case, because having looked at no environmental assessment, no social impact assessment, no published value for money assessment, they simply don't believe Thames Water will deliver on it, and they simply don't believe it's the right scheme. So I can't imagine an organisation that has a lower reputation of trust at the moment.
And this turnaround plan, you've read the report. What do you make of it? Do you think that is feasible?
Anyone who's worked in the business of turning businesses around knows there are too many initiatives taking too long. It should be much more focused to have any chance of getting executed in any sensible way. They should focus on the vital few: leakages, sewage pollution. Get those done first and prove you will do no harm to the river first before you start trying to implement silly schemes like TDRA.
So it sounds like you don't have faith that these improvements will be delivered, and that's been impacted because of the historical nature of what's been going on with Thames Water here.
Thames Water have not kept to their word, and we locally have experienced them trying to explain to us the benefits of this scheme. Residents have sat listening to what Thames Water wanted to say, not answering the questions residents have. So they basically, they hear, but they really don't listen.
And broadly, when it comes to the water industry, I mean, what do you think the solution is then? At the moment, we've got a regulator regulating private companies. What do you think the solution is?
Absolutely tougher regulation. You've got to draw a line in the sand to make a change. I know most about Thames Water. It's simply too big to be viable. So it needs to be broken into smaller pieces, and that way they will have some chance of actually delivering something in a reasonable timescale for the environment and for customers.
OK, Ian, that's it. Thanks a lot for joining us tonight. That's it.
Thanks,
From a bit of a drizzly Teddington back to you in central London.
Tom, thank you. And as you'd expect, we have invited representatives from Thames Water to appear on our programme today and several times over the past few months. Sadly, they haven't yet accepted our offer, but we do know they watch. So, Thames Water representatives, if you're watching tonight, this is another invitation to come on the programme as a chance for you to speak to your millions of customers. We are waiting.